It's theairnetwork.net. Welcome to Monday Night Sports Talk, another edition of local talk from around the area and the region and nation. Tonight, Steelers, Pirates, Penguins, and a whole lot more. Stick around. It's coming up next. It's Monday Night Sports Talk. Greg Banks in the studio tonight. Welcoming in this evening again, Dave Shannon from Altoona, Jimmy Ty from Hamburg, Pennsylvania, Dan Ruff, Philadelphia, and a great welcome back to our compadre. We missed you, Chad States from Huntington. Chad, how are you doing? Yay! Finally, we get him back in the fold, guys. I'm so excited. Chad, how you doing?
Doing good. The party's all here, man. It's
yes,
all here.
It is. Crack another beer, man, because we're about ready to get crazy. But anyhow, so Chad, we missed you. Just wanted to say that. A lot of folks missed you. We did a couple of wrestling matches throughout the season, and then after that, it kind of went down the chute. But we have some wrestlers heading to Hershey. We'll talk about that near the end of the program. Meanwhile, Dave Shannon was busy with high school basketball with the Lady Bearcats and the Huntington Bearcats. They're out of it, but Juniata Valley Hornets remain. And Jimmy Ty, your Philadelphia Phillies are doomed to make the World Series this year if they start to win. Does that make any sense? No. Well, let's get on with it. Let's ask you first, guys. Let's talk a little bit about the Steelers and the recent signings. And, Chad, since you've been going for a while, let me ask you this. Le'Veon Bell gets the franchise tag. He's in at least for another year until he decides to leave. Antonio Brown gets the big money, basically a Steeler for life. And James Harrison is returning with a 2-year deal, the first year guaranteed. What do you think about that, my man?
Well, it just tells you what the attitude of the league is. It's a pass-first league. Typically you want to give, to me, 10 years ago, the running backs getting the money, the wide receivers cast aside.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case now. It is a pass-first league. A good, solid receiver like Antonio Brown is worth 2 running backs in the National Football League now, and they just proved it.
That's true. That's true, yeah.
To me, if I'm Le'Veon Bell, I think I'm a little bit upset about this just because, hey, guess what, guys? I'm not just a running back. I'm also a great receiver out of the backfield. I can do 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
He can only do 1. So it's a matter of where you decide to put your value at. And the National Football League has decided that receivers are worth more these days than what running backs are. And that's just the way it's going to be. So do I agree with that? Not necessarily. I probably would have given the money to Bell.
Yeah,
I think he's a much more valuable asset because I really think that receivers can be found just about anywhere in college football and come in and do just as good of a job. So to me, I think that they made a mistake with that, but whatever. As far as Harrison goes, that's unbelievable that this guy is still playing at this level.
That's it, 39 years old.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Dave, what do you think about what Chad just said about Le'Veon Bell? There is a guy that's a dual threat. Comes out of the backfield, catches the ball, also runs the ball. Although now we hold him up for a year until we decide what we want to do with him, whether we want to sign him for big money or we want him to bounce maybe to another team. How do you feel about what Chad just said?
Well, I think Chad and I, without having Chad on last week, but we essentially agreed on the Antonio Brown issue. And maybe a little bit different reasoning and rationale, but I didn't think that was. I think I remember almost saying last week. I think it was just you and I last week, Greg.
Yeah, it was right.
Yeah, I almost dropped the dime a dozen phrase when it came to receivers, and that they're not a dime a dozen. They are specific athletes, but there are more of those available than good running backs. And I think as long as you have a good running game, you're going to be competitive in the NFL, despite the fact that it may indeed be a pass-first kind of league these days. But I would, I would give some serious consideration. Bell had a healthy full year this past season. That was something different for him. And, you got a guy now that's healthy and is able to do what he does. I say that you got to put your money into Le'Veon Bell. And even on the Steelers right now, without looking at the NFL draft and the guys at the Combine, I mean, I think they already have a pretty darn good receiving core. And if Antonio Brown and his attitude happen to walk out the door, no biggie.
Well, they got Martavius Bryant, too, Jimmy, coming back. And, Jimmy, you mentioned before the show, speaking of free agency, there might be people like, you got Brandon Marshall that might even be interested in coming on board. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. He said, quote, I believe it was to a New York station, that he wants to play for Pittsburgh. He's from Pittsburgh. He's never been to the playoffs. He knows Pittsburgh is been in the playoffs all these years. He's never been there, and he wants to play for his hometown team, even though he went to high school in Florida.
Right.
He was born in Pittsburgh. He's always been a Steeler fan, so it's always been a dream of him to play for the Steelers, plus to play with his good friend Antonio Brown.
And, as you say that, Jimmy, I was just thinking, Chad, here again, when we talk about the Steelers, now it seems like they've got a lot of depth. But let me hit you guys with this. The Steelers today slapped a tender on Ross Cockrell. Now, that allows them to match any offers that he gets before he jumps ship. We got to remember they've got free agency. They've got draft. They've got, like, Cockrell now. And there's a possibility of Darrelle Revis may want to come over to solidify that defense. Do you think these guys are in pretty good shape now if everybody stays healthy?
I'm still scared of the secondary. It still shakes me up a little bit here. I know that, Artie Burns and who was the safety that they got from Maryland last year?
Sean Davis.
Davis. They played well, but again, they're still very, very young at this point in time. Darrelle Revis is past his prime. If he's coming, he's just to put the black and gold on, just to say I'm a hometown guy, and that's about it.
Yeah, and Dave and I talked to him.
I'm worried about the secondary, and I'm worried about the scheming of the secondary. I didn't get a chance to talk about this because I wasn't on, but what they did against New England was absolutely horrid. They let New England do that to them, and they've got to scheme better, and they've got to scheme better with better personnel.
Well, didn't we play zone on that game, though, if I recall correctly? We weren't playing man-to-man.
That's correct.
Yeah, we weren't playing man-to-man on that. Do you think that maybe there could have been a different outcome, Dave, if we would have played the man-to-man? I think you and I talked about that.
Well, there could have been a different outcome, assuming that your personnel that are going to be out there on the field are able to do that. But I'll always take, in the case of you've got several standout receivers with a team like the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
And if you go man to man, at least you've got the opportunity, if your guys have any athletic ability at all, you're going to make it a little bit, not that Brady's going to be shut down, but he's not going to have the openings to complete passes. And then the second thing that happens when he looks down the field and there's nobody that's open per se, then he's going to be in that I have to eat the ball.
Right.
And when he gets into the I have to eat the ball is when Tom Brady gets into trouble. Well, so... Yeah, nope, that's it. It's just a matter of do you actually, love man in the case, man-to-man in the case of the New England Patriots, but you have to have the personnel to make that functional.
Exactly, but here again, you have enough guys then, Jimmy, that you can rush somebody like Brady, obviously disrupting his flow and his pattern. And, of course, I didn't see that on our defense this year. Now, having said that, as we move into the new year, 2017, with the Steelers, let's go back to the offense. Look at some ways to solidify. You've got a running back. You got a quarterback. You got guys up front. You got DeCastro. You got Villanueva. They're coming back. You got the man who is over the center of the ball. He's there. He's making it happen. What do you think are some of the deficiencies on the offense that they ought to be looking for? Because today I'm hearing Landry Jones is thinking about going elsewhere.
No. Hey, goodbye.
Yeah, so he's out of there. He may sign, and Jarvis Jones, okay, and Landry Jones are looking to sign elsewhere. And you got Lawrence Timmons, who's looking for money elsewhere. Marcus Wheaton, he's rumored to be playing with Tampa Bay or maybe even with the Cardinals. So you got guys leaving, but you got free agency. You have drafts coming in. What do we need to solidify, first of all, the offense?
The offense, in my opinion, you need to solidify, get it in the third or fourth round, just like what the Cowboys did with Dak Prescott. Trying to get a quarterback in there. The Cowboys last year lucked out when they drafted Prescott in the the fourth round or third round.
Right.
Other than that, I look at getting like another tight end.
Well, you got Jesse James. You still have James there. You got Martavius Bryant coming back.
Side of James, because Green with his concussion issues.
Yeah.
He's iffy, so get another tight end in there.
Right.
Maybe draft him in like the second round or even the third round.
Mm-hmm.
But your first round pick. You also have to look at D'Angelo Williams. D'Angelo Williams is a great backup.
Yeah, you're right, running back.
But how many more years is he going to play? He's 32, 33 years old.
Yeah.
You get another a backup running back for Le'Veon. Whenever Le'Veon gets hurt.
Okay,
like
so
Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, so we solidify the let's say the offense, and it's solid because, as I mentioned, you got James coming back, Martavius Bryant. If he's well, okay, Chad. Bottom line is, that is a dual threat with Antonio Brown. You've got Bryant back there. You got Jesse James. He's like this multi-faceted wide receiver, tight end, if you will. And even if you lose, let's say somebody like Marcus Wheaton, it shouldn't really hurt you that much, should it?
No, I wouldn't think so. Bryant's the type of guy that's going to stretch the field.
Yeah.
By doing so, he's going to open up the entire offense. That's a big deal for Pittsburgh to have happen. They've really got to invest on the defensive side of the ball.
Right.
Who won the Super Bowl this year? New England, right?
Exactly.
What they have? They had the best defense in the league, correct?
But also some of the greatest wide receivers.
As I say, defense wins championships, guys.
It does,
and that's what Pittsburgh's lacking. Once they decide that they're going to get a good championship defense like they had, then we're going to be talking about them holding the Lombardi and somebody else.
Okay.
But they really need to invest on the defensive side of the ball rapidly before they waste what's on the offensive side of the ball.
Dave, you and I talked about it last week when we did the show together. Darrelle Revis in Pittsburgh, South Side, 2:30 in the morning, looking at his development, supposedly. A couple of kids come up on him, and, he ends up, throwing away their phone, and 2 kids are hurt. Now, we don't know who the third person was or fourth person that came in and jacked these kids up. I can't believe Revis did it all on his own, but the Jets got rid of him. So now he's available. I know he's old, okay? We understand, but he may bring something to that locker room that might help out that defensive backfield. And quite frankly, William Gay is probably going to move from the corner to safety this year. So every little bit helps. What do you think?
I can't see. I would not bring Revis in if they do. I think that is a very bad statement about the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. Okay, the best you can hope out of this guy is that you bring him in and he becomes a solidifying force for the defense. He's not that kind of guy.
Right.
He is, just by what happened there and the amount of controversy that's been around him over the course of time, Revis is not that kind of guy. He doesn't fit the good old-fashioned Steeler mantra that has been developed over the course of time.
Antonio Brown does, right? Antonio fits that mantra.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, I have a problem with him being there, to be honest with you, with Antonio Brown. I just stand there and wave. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya.
Yeah.
Go out the door, son.
Don't think for a minute that the Steelers haven't straightened that out. Now that he's got some money in his pocket, I'm sure he's on a short, sort of a short rope, short string, if you will.
That would be I would have put that kind of stipulation on that money.
No doubt.
I said, buddy, when we say jump, you ask us how high.
Yeah,
every time.
Let me ask Jimmy this, and then I'll ask Chad something. Hey, Jimmy, Steelers interested in free agent quarterback Mike Glennon. So now if Landry Jones leaves, you bring Glennon in, who has obviously some experience. How do you feel about that? And you pick up another quarterback in the draft, realizing you're really only going to carry like 3 quarterbacks now.
From North Carolina State, that's the one we're talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about Glennon from, I think he did some work with the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yeah, from Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
No. I don't like that move at all, even though he had some starts in the NFL.
Yeah.
I would rather stick with Landry Jones. He knows that system, even though I don't like Landry Jones.
Right.
I don't like that move at all. But getting back to Dave's point about bringing Revis in, I think it would be a good move for that young secondary, knowing that Revis has been in the league for so many years. He was a superstar at one time. He can bring, leadership into, even though what happened off the field in Pittsburgh and the South Side, he can bring some leadership into the locker room and maybe control Antonio Brown.
So, oh, my goodness. Yeah. Whoa. Oh, I can't believe you said that, Jimmy.
Did you say Revis was going to control Antonio Brown?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the connection there? I'm not getting it. Chad, do you get that connection that you have a guy that's never played with the Steelers?
Get pro in the locker room.
Me,
you never hear anybody talk about Revis being a bad locker room guy. You never hear about Revis videotaping things. He's always at meetings, He did like one bad thing, and that was knock the poop out of a kid.
Well, I didn't say that. I mean, Dave is the one that's hammering on that, the Facebook thing. I have forgiven him, although he was making $500,000 doing basically a part-time job. I'll take that part-time job any day, But the reality is I don't see Darrelle Revis coming in and controlling anybody in that locker room. I mean, I'm saying he'll bring experience, but hell, Joey Porter can't even control people, nor himself.
Joey Porter can't control himself, for God's sake.
Oh, jeez. Hey, let me ask Chad this. Listen, man, there's interest. 5 teams, Terrell Pryor. What about bringing that Pittsburgh kid home and using him maybe as a, slash halfback, wide receiver, quarterback?
I think he's blossomed into a very nice role player for some NFL team. I don't think it'll be Pittsburgh. And quite frankly, I don't think he wants it to be Pittsburgh. He has said that the reason why he didn't want to play for Pittsburgh was because he doesn't want that pressure of the hometown team on his shoulders.
Even at 29 years old, you think he still feels that way?
Yeah, in fact, that was last year's statement. So, yes, I absolutely do think he feels that way. Now, hey, money talks. If Pittsburgh's going to throw some decent money at him, I think he would end up looking at that. But I really think he's blossomed into a very nice slot-type role type of receiver that will be elsewhere. He won't be in Pittsburgh.
Okay, I was just curious because the name came up. Jimmy, you were going to say?
How about Andrew Hawkins?
That's right. That's right. He was let go by Cleveland.
He's a Johnstown boy, local boy for us. Could we see Andrew suiting up for the Steelers just like Larod did?
I think he would fit in nicely because of his attitude and his demeanor and the fact that he is a hell of a ball player. But I don't know about as a wide receiver with the ranks of James, now Martavius Bryant. Now you have the fact that Wheaton may not leave, and yes, some others as well. I mean, maybe Andrew just wouldn't fit in there. I mean, and who knows? When we get into this thing, Chad, as we move forward here on Monday Night Sports Talk, we don't know what we're going to get unrestricted draft or free agents. We could actually be out there looking now. Plus, we don't know. We get to draft what in the first round, number 30,
and
30
and
this year.
The thing you got to remember about a receiver is they are probably the most ready to come into the National Football League and play from day one.
Yeah, true
More
that.
so than any other position, a wide receiver can go out and run routes from day one and get the playbook quicker than any other player on the field. So, going after a receiver in free agency, I think unless his name's Jerry Rice, is ridiculous for the Steelers to do.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, and there are very few that will command the money Antonio Brown does because, quite frankly, he's the highest paid wide receiver in the league now. And
he shouldn't be.
No, he shouldn't be.
Quite frankly, he should not be.
No, he shouldn't be.
It's a bad move on the Steelers' part.
But he did have the numbers,
I'm glad
Chad.
You're back, Chad.
Well,
it is. It's
how
some many years is that deal?
Yeah,
is
because
he going to be the same player now as he is at the end of that deal? Absolutely not.
No.
Statistics tell you no, and I can't even believe the Steelers were stupid enough to do this because they know better.
Well,
you know what? Teams that know when to get rid of players at the right time, they're signing a player at the wrong time.
Yeah, but how much of that is guaranteed, though? I think that was front-loaded. I think he's going to get his $17 million a year, even though he signed in 2021. We know he's not going to get there.
I think wide receivers in the National Football League have become like kickers, a dime a dozen. You can go out and you can find one for cheap money and make do what you need to make do. I think they invested in the wrong player. Finding a good, solid running back these days is almost impossible to do. And they found not just a good one, a great one. And to me, if I'm Bell, that's a slap in the face of what you just did to me there.
Well, when I think about wide receivers, tight ends, especially in this day and age, I want somebody that models Gronkowski or maybe Jimmy Graham. You know what I'm saying? Somebody can get up, go after it, and it takes like 3 or 4 guys to bring him down. You remember, Dave, back in our day, John Mackey was like that, played for the Baltimore Colts. He was like that. I mean, took 3, 4 guys to take that guy down. And quite frankly, when you talk about guys like Marcus Wheaton, you're talking about also Jesse James, and then we talk about our other wide receivers like Antonio Brown. You know, he's more fluff than he is substance as far as I'm concerned. That's why I would say that he probably didn't deserve the money, nor would we miss him if he left. I think they would be able to adjust.
My biggest problem with him is I reminisce back to Hines Ward.
Okay.
And you look at the kind of player Hines Ward was, and you agree to a long-term deal with him because he did everything that they asked him to do.
Oh, yes,
and
he did.
Quite frankly, loved hitting other people.
And
I don't know that he loved being hit.
Right.
But he loved hitting other people. And I just don't see Antonio Brown to me is like, it's like, don't hurt this pretty face. Do not touch this pretty face. Let me get to the sideline and get out your way.
He gets out of bounds rather quickly.
That's the way I see Antonio Brown.
Jimmy, does not Richard Pryor, I'm sorry. Does not Terrell Pryor remind you of a Hines Ward, though? The fact that Hines came out of college as a quarterback, and then he became basically a wide receiver. Terrell, look at the guy. He was an athlete. We all watched him in high school for Jeanette High School.
Watched him at Jeanette High School.
The guy was unreal.
What are we forgetting about Hines Ward here, guys?
I'm sorry, what were you saying, Chad, about Hines?
What are we forgetting about him? He's the best blocking wide receiver of all time.
Yeah,
there's no way Terrell Pryor reminds me of Hines Ward.
Well, okay.
No way on God's green earth.
That aspect I'll give you. You're right.
It's a huge aspect when it comes to an offense.
It is very huge.
He opens up a running game.
Now,
yes, it does.
Does Antonio block for anybody? Somebody let me know. Have you seen him?
Hairstylist.
Okay.
I apologize back, guys.
Yes, you are, and with a vengeance, I might add. He's making up for lost time, Dave and Jimmy. By the way, it's Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. Greg Banks in the studio. We've got Chad States back from Huntington. Oh, well, we're going to have to lock him out next time, but it's Dave Shannon from Altoona, Jimmy Ty from Hamburg down around Philadelphia. The only other thing is, let me ask you guys, and I'll go across the board here. The NFL combines, they are underway. Of course, they started Friday. Saw some interesting things. And, Jimmy, I know you like James Connors. He looked healthy. He looked great in the 40. But is it like the end-all, be-all to go to these combines? I'll start with Jimmy first, Dave, and then Chad.
Oh, wow. I'm up.
You're up?
Yeah, James Conner, he's he looks like he's going to be like a third-round pick, but I think it's good for some of these players to go. But if you look at like players like Mike Williams or the Corey Davis from who was the MAC school, can't think of the top of my head, Western Michigan.
Okay,
they decided not to go to these combines, and so they can do their work at their school. But you look at a player like Christian McCaffrey, and he had 10 reps in the bench press that hurt him.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. So it's a give or take. If that was me, I would go to the combine so I can talk to every one of the NFL scouts or GMs.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you go to, let's say Pitt's holding let's say Penn State, because we know Chad and Dave love Penn State. Let's say Penn State's holding their pro day. You might only get 18 out of the 30-some teams in the NFL going to that pro day.
True.
If you go to the combine, all the teams are going to be there. Or if you go to like Syracuse, maybe like 14 teams or something's going to be there watching them players.
Okay.
So I think it's a good thing to go to the combine so you can talk to the NFL GMs.
Okay, and what's your thoughts on that, Dave? Do they go to the combine? He mentioned McCaffrey, and that guy didn't run a very good 40, Jimmy, by the way, now we're talking about it. Is that something that these guys should worry about, Dave? Because it's not the end of the world if they don't go.
No, your body of work, as you've been a collegiate athlete, is what's more important than this little capsule that you get at the combines.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just a tiny, quick shot glimpse of what you can do. Here's the thing about going to the combine. If you have kept your training regimen up and maybe there are some things that you felt you could improve on, you've been working on it, you have improved, I'm there.
Yeah.
Because somebody may have written you off because in their mind they thought that you didn't have exactly what they needed. And then you go to the combine and you go ahead and prove them wrong. And I think Jimmy makes a good point, too. There's a little bit of networking going on there.
Oh, yeah,
you
definitely.
show up and you network with the NFL teams, which is where you want to be. So, yeah, I mean, some guys maybe not, but I think a good draft for an NFL team is based on more than the combine. But, hey, you can get somebody's attention by being there. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So, yeah, I would go, especially if I had maybe a little bit of a rough season collegiately.
Yeah.
I'd want to get the training in, be out there and say, look, hey, I'm not what you think I am. I'm a lot better.
Hey, Dave, here's a good example. There's a kid at St. Francis that had 2 great bowl games this year. I think the Senior Bowl and one other bowl. And the guy had 3 or 4 interceptions. He got a great look-see on national TV. That, to me, is the kind of kid that should be going to the combine to really get his name out there. And I can't recall his name now, but the kid obviously made an impression on a lot of these scouts. So I'm going to ask Chad. Chad, is it something that they still need to do these days to get there, or is it for the smaller schools, the larger schools? What's your feeling on combines?
I think the combine is a glorified gym class.
Okay.
And I mean that to a certain degree. Now, listen, I think Dave and Jimmy make great points, and there are points to be had because of the combine. You know, it does help the marginal player to show, hey, I can run a little bit faster than you thought I did, or I can do a shuttle run a little bit faster than what I did.
Right.
You know, I can win the Presidential Physical Fitness Award because I won. The bottom line is, can the guy play football? And how many times have we seen people come out of the combine with these great, you know, look, he can throw a football 70 yards. Yeah, but he can't read a defense because he can't spell cat. You know, here's my point. Film doesn't lie, guys. Watching game tape doesn't lie. Christian McCaffrey might not have done very well at the combine, but he can play football. He's a great blocking running back. He has good vision. You can't see that at a combine.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
I don't put a lot of great value in it, although I do think that it can help somebody who has presented themselves very good on film, but might be one of those tweener guys. And you know, Jimmy, you bring up a good point. I am a huge Penn State fan. I think Chris Godwin helped himself at the combine because of what he ran at the 40-yard line. He already proved he can catch a football. He already proved he can catch a football in traffic. He can do a whole bunch of other things. People were a little bit, does he have enough speed to be wide receiver? Well, yeah, he does, because he went to gym class and just decided, hey, I can run pretty fast today.
Yeah, exactly.
So it has its merit. I just don't put a lot of lock, stock, and barrel into it because I'm a film guy. You can either play it or you can't. Let's see what you can do.
All right, we're looking forward to the combine, also free agency, and of course the NFL draft coming up in April. But I'm holding out for the Steelers to make some great selections. We'll talk about that in weeks to come here on Monday Night Sports Talk. It's Monday Night Sports Talk. We'll take a break. Coming up, we'll talk a little bit of Pirate baseball, the major leagues. In addition to that, Penguins hockey, Penn State wrestling, and a lot more. Stick around.
It's a brand new year, so starting it off right by shedding those pounds and living a healthy lifestyle. Call Dr. Michael Simone at Simone Family Chiropractic and Weight Loss at 613 Washington Street, downtown Huntington, for a proven safe way to shed those extra pounds. Dr. Simone utilizes the doctor-supervised Chiro Thin weight loss program that helps you lose significant weight without exercise, expensive prepackaged foods, or diet shakes. It's real food with real results. Try the Chiro Thin plan on your way to a healthier you by calling Dr. Simone for a free consultation. Call 643-2616 for a happier you.
Grab the Big Kahuna, the 24 square cut pizza with your choice of one topping for only $19.99. Now at All American Pizza and Subs at 612 Washington Street, downtown Huntington. All American Pizza and Subs has delivery, and they're the home of great pizza, subs, salad, wings, and more for lunch, dinner, or a late night snack. Call All American Pizza and Subs right now at 643-0222. Closed Mondays. All American Pizza and Subs. Like us on Facebook.
Brenneman's Meat Markets are celebrating nearly 70 years in providing Huntingdon County with quality USDA-approved processed pork, chicken, and beef products. Brenneman's has 2 locations in the county where the tradition of the finest meats are found in the region. Stop by Brenneman's Huntingdon weekdays from 8 to 6, Saturdays 8 to 3. Mount Union, open 9 to 5 weekdays and 9 to 2 on Saturdays. Choose specials of $10 to $50 meat packs containing your favorite meats. Or stop by and ask about our select custom cuts, prepared and packaged while you wait. Brenneman's Meat Markets in Huntingdon and Mount Union. Call our office at 814-643-2751 for specials and more information.
Call Austin Smith Heating and Plumbing for affordable heating, plumbing, and drain cleaning services in Huntingdon. Count on 12 years of ensured excellent service when it comes to heating, plumbing, ventilation, and drain cleaning. Call Austin Smith Heating and Plumbing, available evenings and weekends at an affordable rate. Call 814-506-5128. That's 506-5128 for Austin Smith Heating and Plumbing in Huntingdon. It's Monday Night Sports Talk. Greg Banks in the studio with Jimmy Ty in Hamburg, Pennsylvania, near Philadelphia. We've got Altoona Born and Bred, Dave Shannon. And live tonight for the first time in many nights. We missed him. Dearly, we missed you, dude. Matter of fact, I could use an extra beer. I'll be right back. Chad States is back with us. Glad to have you along, Chad. Somebody just asked me downtown the other day.
Born and hatched in Huntington, Pennsylvania.
Well, there you go.
Hatched,
and a good friend of yours had nothing but good things to say about you the other day. I visited with a guy, for the first time in almost 50 years. I was his bat boy. Tommy Shope said, yeah, I like that kid, that Chad States. He does a hell of a job. And I said, yeah, we miss him. So anyhow, we thank everybody for listening. Of course, you can always hit us up on the airnetwork.net or on your mobile device, whether it be a smartphone or any device on TuneIn Radio at the Air Network. Hey, guys, baseball season's underway. Dave, the Pirates aren't looking too bad. But let me ask you this real quick. Jung Ho Kang, that kid we got from North Carolina. Well, yeah, I wish it were North Carolina, but it's North Korea. He speaks a whole different language. He's had 3 offenses already. There's that supposed alleged rape in Chicago. There's that DUI over there in Carolina. North Korea. And I don't know what that other thing was.
South Korea, actually.
South Korea, yeah, not North Korea, because that's where they're going crazy.
If that happened in North Korea, he'd be dead.
Yeah, he'd have been gone.
Just so you know.
They would have poisoned him by now. But listen, so we've got this guy here, great ball player, man, come on. But you know what? There's something being lost in the translation here. He is going wild. Now, he's a veteran over there in South Korea. He came over here. We paid a lot of bucks for him. What do the Pirates do now? He's facing an 8-month sentence in prison, perhaps, or a 2-year suspension. Somebody needs to help this guy out.
Well, I think what the Pirates, and I think part of the any agreements that are going to be coming up include the Pirates paying for him to go to a rehabilitation clinic, and he will not be allowed back in Major League Baseball until he is cleared by that clinic. Now, there's going to be a bunch of doubters. There's going to be a bunch of haters that are going to say, yeah, you're going to find somebody that's going to sign a sheet of paper that says he's okay now, and he really won't be, and blah, 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 blah. If he gets put into a clinic and that's about a 3-month stay, I think he'll be, I think at the end of 3 months, you've learned that you really did something wrong and you're not going to do it again. So that's what the Pirates need to do with Jung Ho Kang. I mean, it's a shame. Really,
everybody makes mistakes.
Player,
yeah.
Had the injury to his knee,
right.
Got over that, came back, and now he's got this facing him. So hopefully he's able to get over this particular hurdle and make his way back.
Well, we just hope this is not another Johnny Manziel situation.
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay. Hey, moving forward in baseball here, and I'll ask you, Dave, and then we'll get with Chad. Garrett Cole, we've got Jameson Taillon, I believe. How do you pronounce his name? Taillon. And we've got Nova. These guys may start the first 3 games. Am I missing somebody in this rotation, Dave? Because you and I talked about it briefly last week. Be quite honest, I'm not really sure about Nova being there, but who else do they have in the 5-man rotation this year?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm a big fan of Chad Kuhl. I just love, not because he shares the same first name as Mr. States, but because
our Chad is cool too. Yeah.
I just love the way Cool goes out on the mound, and it's all business, baby. Give me the ball. I'm throwing the ball. I know what we're throwing to this hitter.
Yeah.
There's no big, he just goes out there and takes care of business. And the other guy that I think has had a pretty good spring so far, Tyler Glasnow. We've heard a lot about him over the course of time.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's been one of those guys that the Pirates have been kind of banking on being a big part of the future of this particular team.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm not sure what he did in the offseason. I know he didn't play winter ball or Arizona League ball or anything like that.
Right.
But I will tell you that Glasnow has put up some impressive stats so far, and striking out a lot of hitters too.
Well, real quick,
those are my other two guys in that 5-man rotation. I think Nova picked up his first win today by defeating the Yankees.
Okay.
Interestingly enough.
And Chad, let me ask you about those Yankees, because I also want to go back and talk about Josh Bell and Chris Stewart in a minute, but those Yankees, man, they are looking like really tough these days. Man, I don't know. I mean, are they for real, or is it just that early in the season?
It's just that early in the season, but the youth movement is on in New York.
It is, yeah.
And it's nice to see. They got a lot of good young prospects back for trading Aroldis Chapman, and then coincidentally, nicely getting him back here in free agency.
Yeah.
But they did a nice job of, hey, we've got to get rid of some of these older guys, get some good young players back into this organization and kind of build from there, because they were lacking. So they're doing a good job. Just to touch on Dave's point real quick, though, he's exactly right with the Pirates rotation. That rotation has the makings of being a very, very good, I would say well above average type of rotation with Cool, which, by the way, my middle name is as the other side of the pillow, and Glasnow. So,
yeah, there you go. Okay.
But I think Glasnow has Major League number 1 or number 2 starter written all over him.
Right.
I think he is a big-time prospect for the Pirates, and I think that Jameson Taillon is as well. So I'm really encouraged by what the Pirates have as a starting rotation. It's their depth in their bullpen that scares me.
And because really it's a thin, even starting rotation. So we'll see how things shake out. Jimmy, let me ask you this. Josh Bell returning today, kind of rehabbing. Chris Stewart returning tomorrow. Now, if they put this together, and I know you're not really a Phillies fan, even though you live in that area, you're still at heart a Pirates fan. How do you think the Pirates will fare this year? I know last year, and I can't remember, Chad or Dave, how many games you expected them to win. But, Jimmy, are they over 500 this year with the team that they're putting on the field that we know of in the outfield?
Pittsburgh will be around the 500 mark. They won't make the playoffs. So my prediction will be third in the division, behind the Cubbies and behind the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they'll be around like the 500 mark or so this year. Give them another year or two to get that bullpen working again.
Right.
Just like back whenever we had Grilly and Melanson and all. And you'll see them in 2 years or no. 2 years from now, going into the playoffs again. But no, they'll be like third in the Central this
2
year.
years by now, Dave. McCutchen's probably going to be out of here. Obviously, we're going to be reaching down into the depths of the minor leagues or free agency to get some guys on this team. You seem to be somewhat positive about the pitching staff this year, at least the starters. Where do you see them falling this year? Will it be above 500? And will they be competitive against the Cards and the Cubs?
I'm going to make this provisional. At this point, I'm going to say I'm going to agree with Jimmy. I think they're going to be right around that 500 mark.
Right.
And that's not going to be enough to get to the postseason.
No.
However, I call it provisional because what I want to see is a game where they have what it will eventually be their starting lineup play about 6 innings. I want to see that and see how those guys are doing. And then I might actually give them a reasonable shot at maybe being like 10 games over 500 this year, which would be a really nice thing and might actually even get them in the mix. So
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. But that's my provisional thing. Right now I'm thinking around 500, but it could be higher if the starters are actually producing the way they can.
Monday Night Sports Talk.
And
We're here.
I mean about position players, not the starting pitching. Position players. If those starters are producing, then we'll see.
Right, Monday Night Sports Talk. We're here every Monday night, 7 to 8 a.m. p.m. I don't know, man. I'm losing it. I started a talk show earlier today. It's been a long day.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, and I had some fun and, some results, because if you watch the news tonight, you'll find out our topic of discussion today was children being abused in the Catholic Church, and there is some reform from the U.S. government tonight. So that is something good. Maybe they were listening in. But anyhow, Chad, let me ask you this. Teams to watch in the National League and the American League this year. Who do you think, because I know you always like to think that your Nationals will be in the hunt, but I'm seeing teams like Texas, and I'm seeing teams like some young teams coming on this year. And I think there's going to be quite a Donnybrook when it's all said and done. Who do we watch this year?
Well, that's the fun thing is parity's back in baseball. I will tell you one team that you better make sure you watch this year, and that's the Cleveland Indians.
Oh,
what they did last
yeah.
year was no joke, and they're getting healthier. They might be, guys, they might end up becoming the best team in baseball before it's all said and done.
Really?
And that includes the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah.
The Indians are for real. The Houston Astros also have a very good, solid ball club there. I actually think the Arizona Diamondbacks might make a little bit of noise. And don't sleep on the San Francisco Giants. They made some great moves in the offseason. I think the Giants are poised to make a big run this year.
2017. This isn't their year, though, Chad. They're even.
Maybe they're
know.
going to change. Maybe they're going to go from even to odd now.
Yeah. Hey,
That's
Dave.
right.
Yeah, speaking of which, Dave, Chad just touched on something there. Man, Diamondbacks, teams that we don't see on the East Coast because they play so late. Are there any sleepers out there that you know of that we should be watching this year?
I like Arizona as well. I've been waiting for the Diamondbacks to, make their big move, and I think this could be the year. I mean, they've always had a solid base group there, and Goldschmidt. I mean, geez, you got to think about that. That guy's tremendous. What I wouldn't give to see him in a Pirate uniform,
man.
but that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But nonetheless. I see them out there. A team that I don't think will be quite as influential this year as they have been over recent seasons is Toronto. I don't think the Blue Jays are going to be, that much as much a factor this year as they had been.
Jimmy, do you see the Cubs like maybe falling away this year? I mean, after that great championship series last year, you see them like losing anything?
No.
Okay. Tell me who your sleepers are in the National League and the American League then.
National League, my sleeper, no one's really talking about the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
All right.
Mike Trout, right? Am I wrong there? Okay.
Like Dave said about Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah.
Well, the Angels have a player just as good, even better, in Mike Trout.
And that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
So watch out for the Angels. And my sleeper, I'm going to say, I know Chad's a Nationals fan, and last week I did say the Nationals were my team, but to make it far. But I would say the sleeper might be, let's say, the Atlanta Braves.
I agree there.
That would be nice.
The Braves are.
It's time to bring them back.
Really trying to rebuild.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my pick is still the Nationals going.
Okay.
I still say the Nationals are gonna at least get to the National League Championship Series.
You had to love
the Nats.
Nats
And the Indians.
Yeah, Nats and the Indians. Wouldn't that be something? Yeah. Chad, you got to love that, man. At least he mentioned your team, the Nationals. I mean, they're in there.
Sure.
Huh? Hey, let me ask you this, Chad, since we brought you back on. You're going to be coaching, I think, again in Teener League Baseball. Hopefully you'll be able to get back out there and instruct the youngsters. These rules have me miffed, and even the reforms in baseball. And I'm going to ask you first, and then Dave, and then Jimmy. no pitch, intentional walks. I might be able to live with that. But just last week, Carter Capps, the pitcher, shifting and lifting of his pivot foot during a pitch. Is it a balk? Is that a balk ball? I mean, what is that? How are they going to rule this guy pitching this new style that he's using? Now, I understand that if he's pitching the ball, they're going to call a balk, if somebody's on base, and then just call it a ball if there's no one on. Does this guy have to change his style, or is that rule going to stay in force?
It's odd. When you look at the way a balk call is called, a lot of it obviously is the umpire's discretion. But
yeah,
think for a second on how Mariano Rivera used to pitch. He would bring his left foot back and kind of tap it before he would go to home plate, whether there was a runner on scoring position or not. Well, actually, he went from the stretch position all the time.
Right.
Technically, that's a balk. But they never called it because that's his motion.
That's him. Okay.
Okay. So if you've designated that as that's your motion all the time, the umpires won't call that a balk.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I think the same rule applies to the gentleman you're talking about too, Dave. That's not a balk because that's his natural
style,
motion and the way of doing things.
Well, the end.
As far as the intentional walk goes, I think it's great. You don't need to throw 4 pitches.
No,
and I think it's time to bring back an automated strike zone for crying out loud.
Dave, what is your
bring it back?
Dave, what is your opposition
to that? You don't need
to
to throw 4 pitches.
Yeah, why would you do that when you know, in fact, you're going to put this guy on base? Why are you going to waste time? Just wave him on. Go down. Go to first base.
It's tradition.
I know, Dave.
B, there's still a chance that the pitcher is going to screw up and throw the ball away. And if the guy was being walked because there was already a runner on base, then that runner is going to have a chance to move up. No, you don't take that out. That's like this idiotic crap they have in hockey now where they want to call the offside when the guy gets to the top of the face-off circle. And I'll tell you what, if Mike Lang and Phil Bourque would have had sticks of their own, they'd have gone down on the ice last week in that game against Chicago, and they'd have been hitting referees. They were so PO'd about, the way they were handling the icing calls.
All right, back to baseball.
Nope, don't agree with it.
All right, Jimmy, let me ask you this. Yes, baseball is a traditional game. Yes, in many people's minds, it's like watching paint to dry. But they're not probably traditional baseball fans. Everybody wants to change this thing. Not everybody, but most of those people who are non-traditionalists want to change baseball. Do you think baseball needs to be changed? Does anything, like putting somebody on second base in an extra inning game, does that make any sense to you?
No, baseball should not be changed. They should play it like they did back in like the 1800s, early 1900s. That's how the game was made. They should play it the way Ernie Banks made it.
Right.
Roberto played it. It should not be changed. It doesn't matter.
But we have
it's the millennium or what.
Yeah.
Baseball should not be changed.
But
it should
Chad,
go back to the rules the way they were.
Okay, Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Yeah. Okay, Jimmy. That's great. But Chad, let me ask you this. Jimmy just touched on millennials aren't going to sit around, and in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, they're going to be the people at the ballpark. In mass. If they can't have the patience now, do you think they're going to have the patience then?
Nope. And here's what I'm seeing, guys. Declining numbers at the youth level. Kids are gravitating away from baseball and moving towards those sports that provide more action.
MMA.
Soccer. Summer basketball.
Soccer provides action?
MMA.
When the hell did that happen?
It's like hockey, Dave. It's like hockey.
Hold on, Dave.
Last
from
40
a viewership
years.
standpoint, you're correct. But from a player on the field standpoint, you're incorrect. They're out there running their butts off, doing whatever. Yes, it's a very slow, painful game to watch from a viewer standpoint.
Yeah.
But from an athlete standpoint, you're constantly running. You're not just standing there waiting. So for a kid that has attention deficit disorder or whatever that they've got going on
That'd be
in
me.
today's millennial world, soccer doesn't allow you to stand there and wander and drift off, nor does basketball, nor does football. Baseball does. So from what I see from a youth level in declining numbers, unless you make some necessary changes, the grassroots of the game, like the kid level, is starting to die off, guys. And I've seen this over the last 5, 6, 7 years because baseball hasn't changed. You've got to do something a little bit different. Now,
Sort of like football,
there
I
are
guess.
some things that I think that they can do to help speed up the game. I do think the intentional walk is ridiculous. I don't think you need to throw pitches. We don't in our league. If I need a kid put on base, I just tell him to get out of first base. I don't make my kid throw.
How long has that
at
been?
all, 0 point. There's no point in it whatsoever.
Have you done that?
The other thing that we need to do is we really need to widen open the strike zone and make hitters hit. You want to put offense back in the game, make them swing the damn bat, and don't make a pitcher pitch at a bucket.
Well, haven't they made an effort to do that this year?
That can happen by going to this, automatic or electronic controlled at the major league level strike zone where you're taking the home plate umpire out of the equation and making that a ball and a strike based on what the computer says. But it opens up the strike zone and it makes the hitter swing the damn bat and not stand up there and wait on a good pitch or stand there and argue about it. He doesn't have the chance to argue about it. It's already determined.
Dave?
But if baseball doesn't do something, guys, it's going to die. And I am a traditionalist to the heart, but it's going to die unless it does something.
Dave, I guess
I will take the automated strike zone. I'll take that any day of the week. You know, the other thing I'll take is the umpires finally having some guts. They tried to implement this and they half-assed it. It's like, you got a bat, buddy. You're in the batter's box. You know what? Back in the day, the guys that Jimmy was mentioning, Roberto and Ernie Banks and all those guys, you know what they did? They stood in the frickin' batter's box until their at-bat was over. Stop stepping out and asking for time, and then you idiot umpires behind the plate, do not give them time.
Hey, Chad.
That's one of the biggest wastes. The next biggest waste is what goes on after the pitcher gets the ball. I'm not saying that you need to put a shot clock on the pitcher, but I don't know, whatever you need to do to kind of speed that up.
Batter.
And that's kind of death by 1,000 pinpricks, but those to me are two of the most, I don't know, agonizing things. I am so sick of a guy stepping out of the batter's box, and if he's a right-handed hitter, he holds his right hand up. Wait, I'm not ready.
Or
get in the batter's box.
Monday night.
If you're not in the batter's box, that's a strike or whatever.
You had to ask him, didn't you, Chad? Now, here comes Jimmy.
The one thing I noticed last year in baseball, whenever I went to a couple minor league games down here in Reading, they have a clock.
Okay.
In the outfield.
In the minor leagues.
Reading Phillies, the minor league affiliate, the Double-A affiliate of the Philadelphia Phillies, have a clock.
I remember them saying they would enact that years ago, Dave. But go ahead, Jimmy.
And the pitcher throws the ball. Once the catcher gets the ball back, to the pitcher, that clock starts.
Oh, man. Okay, well, that speeds up the game.
It goes down.
Yeah. Well, okay, so here's the deal, guys. We want to speed up the game, or some people think we ought to speed up the game. And the strike zone really doesn't have to be a question because I made it through Little League Baseball. Just basically, my coach saying, crouch down, Pancho, crouch down. Well, when I crouched down, I was only 3 feet tall. It was a hard strike zone to hit. So it worked for me. All right, okay. And I could probably still get away with it in Teener League ball, by the way, Chad. Hey, let me ask you guys this. Okay, here we go. NCAA top 5. We got Villanova still in there. Gonzaga's in there. Kentucky's probably in there. I hate to say that Duke is probably not in that top 5 this year, but there are some teams. Who you got first, Chad? Or the top 2 teams? Who do you got in the NCAA as March Madness begins the end of the month? First, Chad, Dave, and then Jimmy.
I'm taking Villanova and Rock Chalk Jayhawk. I think Kansas is another team to beat.
Oh yeah, there you go, Dave. Who you got? Those top 2 teams that you see that might be able to make it through the final, of course, the finals of this thing.
I'm going Zags and Tar Heels.
Zags and Tar Heels. Yeah, that's probably a pretty good choice. Jimmy, who you got?
Wow. Well, Kansas is not going to make it because they usually choke in the NCAAs.
Okay.
Gonzaga, they'll choke by the round of 16, maybe round of 8.
All right.
Villanova's the defending champion.
Yes.
So let's just go with the North Carolina Tar North
Heels.
Carolina.
Uh-huh.
And let's go with another powerhouse like the UCLA Bruins.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jimmy. I forgot it. The Bruins are real.
And guys, it's just a precursor because, again, we've got a couple weeks to go yet. Some of the conference championships being held this week. Let me ask you guys this, and then we'll let it go and get into Penguins. Grayson Allen, I'm watching this game the other night. and I'm seeing this elbow from hell come out of nowhere. Now, they tell me that happens often in the NBA, but Dave, you and I talked on the show last week and the week before. This kid has some kind of problem with sticking his leg out. Now he's hitting people with his elbow. Chad, I'll ask you, what's with this kid? If you've been watching him, Chad, then Dave, then Jimmy. What do you think? What's his problem?
Chad?
Oh.
I don't know. Chad, or is he? Well, he might be on the phone. But go ahead, Dave. What do you think?
Well, I really don't like the kid. I also don't like people that are doing color on television basketball games giving me hell because I don't like the way he plays. Yeah. I don't give a shit what he did when he was in high school. I don't care how many points he scored.
Right.
I don't care how many three-pointers he can make in a game. I don't care what his field goal percentage is. I don't care what he shoots from the foul line.
Right.
He's a douche.
Yeah. And
all right? Grayson Allen is a douche, and he's making no effort to change, and I don't think anybody at Duke is making any effort to change him.
Yeah.
So he's a douche.
Chad, do you have any idea with this Grayson Allen, what it's about, this kid with the elbow, and he's been tripping people? What's his deal?
Well, honestly, I think it'd be great to bring into the Steelers as a role model. Antonio Brown would be my point of thing. No, I can't even believe Duke's keeping this dude around.
I know.
You know, Dave, I agree with you 100%. It doesn't represent Duke University and all that they've brought to the table throughout the years, nor does it represent Mike Krzyzewski.
No.
Right.
To me, it's showing a lack of institutional control. They need to boot that kid off the roster, and they needed to boot him, last year probably.
Exactly, or the end of last year. But anyhow, Jimmy, what's your thoughts on Grayson Allen? Then we'll let that go.
Oh, boy, are you serious? Would you really want to hear my opinion on it?
If it's only a minute long, I'll take it. But if not, if it's
Okay.
going to be this long diatribe, we don't have time for that.
All right, Grayson Allen, he should be thrown off the team, like Chad said. I agree with that.
Does he have an anger problem?
Suspended. Remember this, guys. He was suspended and definitely suspended from the team.
One game.
For one darn game.
One game.
Yeah.
One game. And
his coach
Davey
wasn't
came
even
back,
there then.
Coach K wasn't even there. It was Jeff Capel who
I know.
came back and he played. No, Grayson Allen should lose his scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
If he wants to play basketball for Duke,
Yep.
he should be a walk-on.
Yep.
He should pay for his own goddamn school.
Right.
Okay? He should not be playing for Duke at all. He's a dirty player. I can't wait till he gets to the NBA and he elbows Russell Westbrook.
All right.
Or he elbows DeMarcus Cousins
Enough
or
said.
LeBron James. He'll be thrown into the third row.
All right. Thank you, Jimmy, because it sounds like you have an anger problem, too. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. Let's get to it, Dave. Penguins. They beat Buffalo. Was that Buffalo last night? I mean, it's beginning to look the same here with the scores from the Penguins. And so they looked good last night. I guess we got some games coming up this week.
Yeah, they look crappy, though. The two games that they lost, and they lost games to teams that are going to be part of the NHL postseason in Chicago. Maybe Dallas not, but definitely Chicago. And they lost those two games, and they look like garbage in those two games. Now, they came back, and one thing that I like that Mike Sullivan did is he put Hainsey and Streit together as a defensive matchup. Oh, my. There aren't going to be very many teams that are going to mess with those two guys, not to mention the fact that Streit tends to be a real offensive-minded defenseman.
He helped win that game. Was it Saturday or Sunday he helped win that game? I remember Streit scoring, I think, had 2 scores. And I want to say it was last night, but I got to recall and go back to my website to make sure.
Yeah, well, the bottom line is, they were 2 good pickups. I don't know that they were on a lot of people's radar, but then again, you have to figure the situation that the Penguins are in with the amount of guys that aren't playing that should be playing.
Right.
And they needed the defensive help. And actually, they've created a little bit of a problem now for when Trevor Daley comes back and Chris Letang, because Dumoulin's out there, and also number 4.
Gensel?
Anyway.
Not Gensel. No. All right.
No, it's not Gensel.
Right.
Defenseman that they got from Edmonton last year.
All right. Well,
Anyway, they got those guys are healthy. So now there might be a problem when the starters get back. And then that doesn't even include, I didn't even mention Ole Mata in the discussion there. So but hey, that's a good problem to have.
And who do we have this week? Yeah.
They have 3 games Wednesday. They are at Winnipeg to take on the Jets. That is an 8 o'clock start. Winnipeg's a 500 team at 30-30 so far.
Right.
Then they go to take on Edmonton, the Oilers, and Connor McDavid.
Okay.
The Oilers 35-22 on the season, and they finish up their road trip against the Canucks on Saturday night, and that's a 10 o'clock start. And the Canucks 28-30. So, and they have one more on the road, not included in this week's schedule, but then on Monday next week, they'll be taking on Calgary at 9 o'clock. So, a big 4-game Western swing for the Pittsburgh Penguins into Canada. Good luck, guys.
All right, best of luck to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Hey, Chad, only 3 guys getting into the final for the Big Ten wrestling yesterday, Penn State wrestlers. Only one coming out of that. What happened?
They had 2 champions. They'll be all right. They had some injuries, some banged up. Their 125-pounder couldn't go. They'll be all right for nationals in 2 weeks. Remember, lots of teams go into the NCAA basketball tournament not having won their conference championship. But if you win the national championship, nobody ever remembers it. So,
well, Penn State did win,
In 2 weeks, they'll be fine. And good luck to Jacob Oliver, Seth Maney, and Landon Fisher for Huntington, who will be competing at the PIAA state championships this weekend. Jacob Oliver will be looking to defend his 170-pound title and become Huntington's first 2-time Pennsylvania state champion. So good luck to the Bearcats this weekend.
That's right. And you know what? We will keep you posted, hopefully with one of the guys, either Dustin Everhart or maybe John Billich will give us reports here on the airnetwork.net as Jake Oliver looks for his 2nd state title. And Chad, I wanted to talk about some wrestlers who we lost recently, but we'll get to that next week. I appreciate you coming back, dude. It's good to see you again.
Yep, you guys too, and knock on wood, I'll be back next week too.
All right, that wraps up another edition of Monday Night Sports Talk. Thank you, Jimmy Ty. Thank you, Dave Shannon. Thank you, Chad State. We'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.
Good night, everybody.